Hey everybody, welcome back. And today we are talking about Scream 6. Man, this is a long time coming. This one is directed by Matt Bettinelli-Olpin and Tyler Gillett. And it follows the same group we met in Scream 5, which is, let me look at the names real quick. I know the actors Melissa Barrera and Jenna Ortega, Sam Carpenter and Tara Carpenter, as well as their friends Mindy and Chad, who are played by Jasmine Savoy Brown and Mason Gooding, respectively. And they are like the main characters. They call themselves the Core Four, and that's exactly what I'll be calling them in this movie. And they have all moved to New York. Mindy, Chad, and Tara all go to college in New York, and Tara's sister Sam followed her to New York to, look out for her because they just went through, obviously, more Woodsboro murders. Spoiler alert for Scream 5. No spoilers for Scream 6, but spoiler for Scream 5. Sam's boyfriend, Richie, was the killer, so she doesn't really trust anybody, and that's completely fair. I probably wouldn't either if my boyfriend turned out to be a homicidal maniac who is obsessed with my now dead father, because Sam's father is Billy Loomis, the first killer. That's, I didn't think I needed to go over a lot of lore about Scream, but there's a lot of Scream lore. I just realized that. But we pick up while they're at college, and surprise, surprise, a new ghost face killer is on the loose. So they have to band together and they have to find out who it is. And obviously their friends are dropping like flies all around them one by one. And that's where I want to start, is on the positive. The kills are great. The kills are so great in this movie. And this is coming from someone that I genuinely enjoy the first 4 Scream movies. I know 3 is like kind of renowned as like kind of the weakest link, if you want to say that. And I know a lot of people like 3. It feels like almost Mission Impossible, where any one of them could be your favorite, but Mission Impossible 2 is definitely the weakest. And that's how I feel about the Scream franchise. Any one of them could be your favorite, but I think everyone is just in unison, like Scream 3 isn't that great. But I was surprised of how much I didn't like Scream 5. I'm not like this die-hard horror fan. You guys know that. I'm not a die-hard Scream fan for sure. But I genuinely like all of them. And so I was really surprised when I did not like Scream 5 at all. And I know I'm in the minority about that. So I was a little apprehensive about this movie. I wasn't a huge fan of the cast. I do, Jenna Ortega is possibly the biggest pop culture actor, celebrity, TikTok person on the planet right now. I know she's not a TikToker, but the same way like Pedro Pascal is getting all like the fan edit TikToks, Jenna Ortega is up there as well. So she's just like front and center in the pop culture zeitgeist. And I like Melissa Barrera as an actor. She's great. But I wasn't super looking forward to this one. But you know what? I was pleasantly surprised, and we'll go back to what I was talking about, the kills. The kills are great. They are using this R rating for sure. The kills are mean. They are brutal. The sound design for the stabbing is so good. I don't know. I really would love to see the Foley artists at work in this movie, because the sound design for the stabs are really, really fun. And you really feel them. Like you feel like that, it's a big old knife going into somebody, and you feel it. You feel it, and I like that. I like that in a horror movie. And I will say, I've said it about Cocaine Bear. I've said it about, what's that Christmas movie? The David Harbour Santa movie. I can't think of the night, like Silent Night or Deadly Night or something like that. Violent Night. I knew I'd get it. You want to watch this with friends, and you want to watch this in a crowd. And I wish I'd watched those 2 movies with those 2 factors. Unfortunately, I didn't, so it kind of affected my review. But you know what? I did go see this with friends. I did go see this with the crowd, and it does help. People were laughing at the kills, screaming at the jump scares, and it definitely helps to see this in, like, it doesn't have to be a packed theater, but with friends, with people around you. Like, this is a great crowd-pleasing movie. I will say the story around the killers, and, I'm no spoilers, but just like the story doesn't make too much sense. It gets a little convoluted in the 3rd act of like what is revealed, and it falls apart if you think about it for a second. But I'm okay. You know what? I'm not holding that too much against it, because even after the killer reveal, there were still some fun kills. There were still some good reveals. There was still some good action and chases and, death and blood and guts. And that's what you're there to see a Scream movie for. And so it made up for like the kind of the lackluster 3rd act. Hayden Panettiere is back as Kirby, and I will say no spoilers about her entrance, but it is one of the greatest cinematic entrances in history, and I could not stop laughing because it was so funny, it was so perfect, and I mean that sincerely. I'm glad they brought her back. I'm glad they brought back Courtney Cox. I will say they mentioned Sidney Prescott in this movie, and you can't mention, do a Scream movie without Sidney Prescott, but they did, so I was almost mad that they even brought her up, where they just kind of like wave her off, like, oh, she deserves her happy ending, and stuff like that, which is a great nod if Neve Campbell had said she didn't want to be there, but basically they didn't want to pay her the money, so that kind of pissed me off that they even brought her up. It's like, that's my Scream Queen. That is my OG Scream Queen, the one I grew up with in the 90s, and she's the best, and she has the best line in Scream 4, where it's all about like a reboot, and she's like, the one thing you fail to learn about reboots, you never mess with the original. And she doesn't say mess, she says the F word, but I don't want to get demonetized. But that is another weakness of this movie, is anytime they talk about, because that's Scream's thing, is the fourth wall breaking almost, the meta narrative, like how to survive a horror movie, what are the rules. Jamie Kennedy did that so perfectly, and Jasmine Savoy Brown is better than what she was. She is a better improved performance than in Scream 5, and it might not even be her fault, but the dialogue about all the meta stuff and the horror movies and like what their favorite horror movie is, it did not work for me, unfortunately. That was the weakest part, and I feel like they could have done without it. Because there is a moment where I thought they were going in a different direction and kind of getting rid of the meta narrative, which I would have been okay with. I don't need, I know that's the Scream thing, but I don't need them to always have one movie character that knows all about movies and tells you the rules. There can be references and homages to it, but it doesn't need to be so forward facing. I feel like they did such a good job in the first two movies and in the fourth one for sure, but the last two haven't really done that well, and I feel like it's definitely a weakness of this movie, is the attempt at the meta narrative, when I feel like it wasn't necessary. I understand why it's there, and maybe people will just agree with me in the comments about that it needs to be there. I didn't feel that it needed to be. But, it is what it is, and I'm not trying to hold on too much to it, because there's really only 2 scenes of them trying to do it, and I'm glad there was only 2 scenes, because it just didn't work. But I think Jenna Ortega and Sarah Carpenter are amazing in this movie. Sorry, I mixed up the name. Melissa Barrera. I don't know where Sarah came from. Sam Carpenter is her character's name. Tara Carpenter is her sister. I combined everything I could possibly combine and messed up the name. But I will say, whoever is the costume designer on this movie, Melissa Barrera puts on a bomber jacket. She's got a tank top on and a bomber jacket, and she looks dope as hell. She basically wears this, because this takes place over 2 days maybe. She basically wears this bomber jacket the entire time, and she just looks like a badass. She looks awesome, and I'm here for it. Kirby looks amazing in her leather jacket. Jenna Ortega looks great in this cardigan sweater looking thing. It's awesome. Chad Mason Gooding looks awesome in this gray fitted hoodie. I feel like costume design doesn't get a lot of mention when it's just contemporary clothing, but I want to shout out the costume designer, because they did a great job in this movie. Everyone looks dope as hell while they were running away from Ghostface, and I had a good time. I did not expect to have the time that I had at this movie. The kills were fun. I thought the mystery was good. The reveal was a little unsatisfactory, and the third act didn't really do it for me, but I'm okay with it, because they still followed up with some more good kills and some more chasing and great just one-liners, and that's what you go to a Scream movie for. I recommend going to see this in theaters. Grab your friends, maybe have a few drinks beforehand, and just enjoy this ride. I had a great time. Thank you guys so much for watching. Patrons, as always, is getting this early, so thank you. A big shout out to you guys that support me on Patreon. $5 is the lowest tier, guys, and I'd really appreciate your support, because I'm really doing these movie reviews. I might do a Sunday coffee talking about the Oscars after this Sunday, but thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it. Have a good night. Bye.